Novorossiysk saw a mushroom cloud, and within hours, Ukraine faced 450 projectiles. That's not random. It's a new phase of symmetrical energy warfare. Ukraine hit oil pipelines, storage, and a depot with Flamingo and Neptune. Russia hit energy grids and cities in return. In the next minutes, you'll see the strike paths, the logic behind pairing Flamingo with Neptune, and why a confirmed long-range Neptune capability changes Russian defense planning from the Black Sea to far inland. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. One blast stood up like a column and held its shape. That's the tell. A depot cooks off in waves, throws debris, and keeps breathing fire. A tank blaze tends to smoke heavy and low. So why did the Black Sea's lone mushroom look like stacked detonations instead of a pool fire? Run the map east along the Black Sea to Novorossiysk, and you hit a tight industrial knot. It's not just a port. It's conduits and containers jammed next to cranes and rail spurs. Pipelines run down from the hinterland, meet pumping stations that meter flow, push into big round storage farms, and tie into loading racks by the waterfold in a nearby ammunition site, and you're staring at a condensed logistics core. When something breaks there, the shock moves through more than one system, because the lines, valves, tanks, and bunkers sit on top of each other. Right after the strike, reports split. Some called it an oil fire. Others said ammo. Then came claims of an S-300 or S-400 battery in the vicinity, which added confusion and a lot of hot takes. Air defense gear in the same grid square as petroleum gear raises the risk of misreads, because both can burn, both can explode, and both throw up dirty smoke. That's why footage mattered, and why the shape and tempo of the plume drew so much attention. Look at the target set, and the payoff snaps into focus. Pipelines are arteries. Hit a junction and flow stops downstream for days. Pumping stations are the heart. Take one out, and even intact pipe sits idle storage tanks hold the buffer that keeps ports loading when upstream wobbles. Breach several, and you lose both supply and surge capacity. Oil depots pack rail sidings, truck bays, and manifold yards into one grid. Damage there multiplies across transport modes. Add an ammunition depot, and you introduce explosive mass, propellant, fuses, and packaged munitions stacked in magazines. Each of those nodes feeds either fuel or firepower to the front. Remove a few and trains sit, ships wait, and brigades start counting shells. Now the signature. A sustained vertical column means continuous energy release. Secondary detonations, sharp pulses after the main blast, show different lots cooking off on their own timers. Shockwave patterns that slap windows miles away, followed by fresh bangs, argue for munitions and mixed stocks breaking in sequence rather than a single tank going up. Oil alone can throw heat and thick smoke. But ammunition adds hard concussions and that stepped rhythm that keeps cameras rolling. Here's where the delivery tools matter. Flamingo comes off a ground launcher, a cruise missile built to weave under radar and scrape along terrain. Neptune started life-hunting ships, then shifted roles into land attack. That change brings a different mass and approach profile, optimized to skim in fast and low with a heavier punch. One rides the earth and looks for gaps. The other knifes in with speed and weight. Together, they pose two problems at once. More tracks on radar, more angles, and less time for batteries to decide which one to kill. Ukraine had already shown reach with strikes that tagged refineries and depots across the map. Those hits built pressure, but the Novorossiysk shot pushed deeper and to a place Moscow counted as safer. The result wasn't just a fire at the waterfront. It was a plume that said the strike found stacked energy or munitions. The rolling secondaries pointed to a chain reaction in mixed stores, not a lone tank bleed. One deep strike does more than scorch a port. It stretches the defensive line, forces commanders to move interceptors, and rewrites risk on the Black Sea coast. With the plume still rising, the board flipped from the shoreline out to the railheads, and the next order had to come from Moscow. If Neptune can reach far and Flamingo can launch from a truck anywhere in Ukraine, where does Russia draw the new defensive line? The map doesn't stop at the front anymore. It sprawls across refineries, pump yards, rail junctions, and ports deep in the rear. That's the shift. Novorossiysk made it obvious because the strike footprint forced air defense commanders to consider targets they once logged as low risk and far from daily threat. Neptune began as an anti-ship killer built to skim sea clutter and smack hulls. Then it evolved. Public confirmation placed it in long-range land attack roles, which means guidance updated for inland navigation, new target sets, and profiles that hold low and fast over complex terrain. Flamingo, meanwhile, fills the ground-launched cruise missile slot. Think a domestic modular system that Ukraine can disperse across backroads, hide near tree lines, and fire in coordinated waves. One expands reach from coastal arcs to inland nodes. The other gives planners flexible salvos that can launch on short notice and stack flight paths to confuse radar. Here's the rub on range. Claims that Neptune can push to thousands of kilometers raise eyebrows because propulsion, fuel fraction, and payload all wrestle for space. The headline figure up to 3,000 kilometers floats around, but the exact profile, speed class, and warhead mix remain murky. That uncertainty cuts both ways. Defenders must assume worst case and deploy for depth they may not actually need, while attackers get room to experiment with lighter payloads, tandem charges, or sub-munitions to trade weight for distance or effect. The pairing makes tactical sense. Flamingo can fix sensors by showing up first, presenting multiple tracks that force search radars to light up and fire control crews to commit. It can also hit soft nodes like control rooms, transformers, or manifold yards. Neptune then threads through the gaps that open when batteries switch modes or burn interceptors. It brings a heavier punch or specialized fusing for hardened buildings, buried pump houses, or reinforced ammo magazines. You get sequencing, staggered bearings, and altitudes that cross, which adds friction to every engagement decision. Russia's layered defenses were built for this on paper. Short-range systems like Panzer guard points, mid-tier Buk cover sectors, and long-range S-300 or S-400 blankets corridors. In practice, pulling those layers over a wider rear area stretches radar coverage and pads out engagement zones with holes. You need more crews on shifts, more generators, more trucking of interceptors to places that never expected daily traffic. Sensors must watch both the coast and deep inland routes. That dilution invites leaks. The cost curve hurts, too. Every cruise missile intercepted drains a launcher tube with a missile that costs more than the attacker's shot, in many cases miss one. And a single hit can knock a pump station offline, drain a storage farm, or torch a mixing manifold. Repairs take weeks and tie up rail cars and cranes. While you rebuild, the front starves of fuel or ammo that keeps units moving and firing. We saw how the rhythm set in after Novorossiysk. Within a day, Russia sent a heavy retaliation package, hundreds of missiles and drones, at Ukrainian power infrastructure and cities that mirrors the new scope. Ukraine hits oil and depots. Russia answers with grid attacks and urban strikes. Both sides force the other to spend interceptors and emergency budgets, and both try to keep production lines feeding the next round. It's a contest of stockpiles and repair crews as much as operators at consoles. So what are these tools and why the quiet rollout? They are Ukrainian long-range strike programs in active development, held close to protect testing and surprise. The confirmation of Neptune's land attack role shifts planning across the Black Sea and deep into Russia's rear. As defenses stretch, railheads, depots, and ports that once felt safe join the daily risk map. Deep strike parity moves the fight off trench lines and onto lifelines, fuel farms, ammo parks, and the rails, valves, and switch yards that tie them together. Each successful hit shortens a brigade's day. Each repaired node buys time. That's the new math. Watch how both sides shift. Do they thicken rear area batteries or push decoys and hardening? Can factories keep missiles and interceptors flowing faster than crews burn them? Tempo will follow production, not headlines or claims. Next, we'll chart the rear area hubs that rise in priority if Neptune and Flamingo sorties scale, where junctions stack value, where coverage thins, and where a single strike ripples for weeks.